Hello children, today in thermodynamics we discuss about heat capacity. The symbol of heat capacity is C. Now first of all, what is the meaning by this term heat capacity? As the term is suggesting how much is the capability of a body to hold the heat, that is its heat capacity. So exact definition of heat capacity is amount of heat required. It is the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of a body by 1 degree. Understood children? Amount of heat required to raise the temperature of a body by 1 degree. Means any substance is given to me and I want to change its temperature only by 1 degree. So for that 1 degree rising in temperature, how much heat is required? That is termed as its heat capacity. So formula of heat capacity, C will be equal to amount of heat required divided by change of temperature. So the unit will be heat, that is in joule per degree is the unit of heat capacity. Second definition is specific heat capacity. Specific heat capacity. The difference in heat capacity and specific heat capacity is this, that here we are not mentioning the amount of substance, that how much substance we are taking. But in this case, you need to specify the amount also. That's why this is termed as specific heat capacity. So the only one change in definition, amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of substance by 1 degree. Understood children? Shall I repeat? Amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of substance by 1 degree. Now this is termed as specific heat capacity. So the formula of specific heat capacity is Q divided by m delta T. So its unit will be joule per gram degree Celsius. Understood? Now next we will be talking about molar heat capacity. In molar heat capacity, at the place of 1 gram, we will be using 1 mole substance. So the same language we are using, amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 mole of substance by 1 degree. This is termed as molar heat capacity. So formula, at the place of mass, now we will be using number of mole and delta T. So unit is joule per mole degree Celsius. This is termed as molar heat capacity. And if we measure heat capacity at constant volume, then this is termed as CV. So formula of heat capacity was C equals to Q by delta T. And if we are measuring it at constant volume, then heat is also supplied at constant volume. So this is the formula of CV, means heat capacity measured at constant volume. Similarly, we can measure heat capacity at constant pressure, that is termed as CP. So CP equals to QP divided by delta T. From here, QV, that is heat at constant volume, equals to CV delta T, and QP equals to CP delta T. This is the formula of QV and QP. QV we know internal heat at constant volume is the change of internal energy of the system that we discussed in our previous lectures. Similarly, heat at constant pressure is the change of enthalpy of the system, right? So QV is also written as equal to change of internal energy, and QP is also written as change of enthalpy, that is delta H. From here we can derive the relation between Cp and Cv. We know that delta H equals to delta U plus delta P. This is the relationship between change of enthalpy and change of internal energy, already derived in previous lectures, correct? Now, from this equation, we can get the relationship between Cp and Cv. How? Just check. From ideal gas equation, we know PV equals to nRT. If n equals to 1, then PV equals to RT. So, at the place of PV, we can substitute RT. So, let this is first equation. So, substitute the value of PV from here to the equation 1. So, we may write delta H equals to delta U plus delta RT. Delta H is heat at constant pressure, and just now we derived this formula. QV equals to Cv delta T and QP equals to Cp delta T, and this is equal to delta U and this is equal to delta H. So from these two equations, substitute the values of delta U and delta H in this equation 1. So when we substitute these values at the place of delta H, we may write Cp delta T. So this is Cp delta T equals to, at the place of delta U, we may write Cv delta T, Cv delta T plus R is constant, R delta T. So just check here children, when we take delta H common, delta T common, so delta T will be cancelled out. So we are left with Cp equals to Cv plus R or Cp minus Cv equals to R. So this is the relationship between Cp and Cv. So from here this is clear that Cp is greater than Cv, and by how much factor? Equal to the value of R. So value of R we know it is 8.314. So we can say 8.314 joule per Kelvin per mole. So we can say that Cp is greater than Cv by how much factor? Equals to the value of 8.314 joule, or almost equals to 2 calories. So this is the difference between the value of Cp and Cv. Our next topic is calorimetry. Calorimetry is the method to measure change of internal energy and enthalpy change for any process. So if in any process how much internal energy is changing, how much enthalpy is changing, if we want to measure this, then we use this branch calorimetry. So in calorimetry first we are using measurement of internal energy change in a process. The apparatus used for this is termed as bomb calorimeter. Now what is the construction of this bomb calorimeter? First we discuss this construction. You can see here children, this is our inner vessel, a steel vessel which is termed as bomb. The walls of bomb are conducting so that the heat produced during the reaction is transferred to the outer vessel. Outer vessel, it contains water. So the bomb is completely immersed into water so that the produced heat is transferred into water and we can measure this heat. In this form, other arrangements are, there is a platinum cup, where sample is placed. Non-mass of sample we place in this platinum cup to measure the change of internal energy. There is an opening to supply oxygen so that complete combustion takes place, because we all know for combustion process oxygen gas is required. Filaments to supply electric spark for combustion of the material, and in outer vessel which is filled with water, there are two arrangements, one thermometer for the measurement of temperature and the second stirrer. During the process we continuously keep on stirring the water for uniform rising of temperature. Understood, children? This was the construction of bomb calorimeter. Now, the working of bomb calorimeter, take the known amount of sample whose internal energy change we want to measure. So, first of all, note the mass of sample. Let it be X gram. Then before starting the experiment, note down the temperature with the help of thermometer. So let the initial temperature let it be T1 degree Celsius. Heat capacity of calorimeter of calorimeter. Let it be Y. Heat capacity, bomb is a steel apparatus whose heat capacity is known to us. Now first note down all these values. Now when you supply electric spark and oxygen from here, combustion of the substance takes place, and the heat produced during combustion is transferred to the outer vessel. Now continuous stirring is required for uniform rising of temperature. When the combustion process gets completed, after completion of the process, again note down the final temperature. So now final temperature, let it be T2 degrees Celsius. So from this T1 and T2 we can find the value of delta T, that is T2 minus T1, final temperature minus initial temperature. So after noting down all these values by using the equation for heat capacity, which we have already discussed, that Q equals to mc delta T. M is the mass of substance, the value we have taken is x gram. C is the heat capacity of calorimeter, the value we have taken is y, and delta T, this is T2 minus T1. Substitute all these values from here, you will get the value of Q, or we may write QV, heat at constant volume. Why I am saying this is QV? Because the calorimeter is a completely sealed apparatus, so during the process its volume remains constant, and if no change in volume, it means the heat produced during the process is termed as heat at constant volume, or we may call it change of internal energy of the substance. Second method is measurement of enthalpy change in a process, and the calorimeter used for the process is termed as coffee cup calorimeter. To measure internal energy change, we use warm calorimeter. To measure enthalpy change, we use coffee cup calorimeter. A very simple apparatus we are using here. It's a polystyrene cup. Polystyrene is a polymer material. So this cup is used. It is insulated. Now in this case only two arrangements are there. Stirrer, we know we need to stir the sample for uniform rising of temperature, and then thermometer we are using to measure the temperature of the process. And again this cup is filled with water. Now how do we carry this process? First you take the sample in the similar way as we did in previous case. Before starting the experiment, note down the mass of this sample. After noting down the mass of sample, heat the sample up to a particular temperature. Similarly, let T1 is the initial temperature of the sample, right? Mass of sample, we have to check initial temperature. Heat the sample up to a particular temperature, whatever, 100 degrees Celsius, 80 degrees Celsius, 90 degrees Celsius, because ultimately we need to check the change of temperature, how much change is taking place during the process. So heat it up to a particular temperature and note down that initial temperature of the sample. After heating, put the sample into this coffee cup which is filled with water and now start stirring this. Ultimately, after some time, thermal equilibrium exists. Means now the temperature of sample and temperature of water becomes same. So at this point, note down the final temperature. As this time the experiment is carried out under constant atmospheric pressure. That's why when we use the formula Q equal to mc delta T, C is the heat capacity of calorimeter, we know that. Delta T is the difference of initial and final temperature, mass of sample we are having, and as it is carried out at constant external pressure, that is atmospheric pressure, so this time the heat change is termed as heat at constant pressure, that is enthalpy change of the system. So in this way we can measure both the values, that is change of internal energy and change of enthalpy. Now let us discuss this question. 1 gram of graphite is burnt in a warm calorimeter. So mass of sample is given, 1 gram of graphite. Burnt in warm calorimeter means this is the change of internal energy or heat at constant volume. In excess of oxygen at 298 Kelvin and 1 atmospheric pressure according to this given equation. That is graphite plus oxygen gives carbon dioxide. During the reaction, temperature rises from 298 Kelvin to 299 Kelvin. If the heat capacity of calorimeter is 20.7 kilojoule per Kelvin, calculate the enthalpy change for the process. Now, how do we start this question? Simply by using the formula QV equals to mc delta T. Why I am writing QV? Because the experiment is carried out in warm calorimeter, and just now we discussed warm calorimeter is the apparatus to measure heat at constant volume, that is change of internal energy. Now substitute all the values here. Mass of sample, 1 gram sample we are taking, 1 into heat capacity of calorimeter given to us 20.7 kilojoule per Kelvin. 20.7. Change of temperature again given to us 298 to 299, that is 1 Kelvin only, T2 minus T1, it's 1. One more thing need to be taken care of here is that as combustion process is given and combustion is an exothermic process, so here minus sign is required because heat released will be negative and absorbed will be positive. So now solve it. On solving you will get the value of QV, that is minus 20.7. Kilojoule is the answer, minus 20.7 kilojoule. But in this question what needs to be calculated? Enthalpy change during the process, means QP we have to calculate. To calculate QP, use the relation of QP and QV. Yes children, tell me the relation of QP and QV. Already done in previous lectures. Anyone remember? Yeah, right answer. QP equals to QV plus delta NG RT. So use this relation. QP equals to QV plus delta NG RT. So first we have to find the value of delta NG. Delta Ng equals to number of moles of product minus number of moles of reactant. Now tell how many moles of products are there? 1 of course. And how many moles of reactants are there? Can I say 2? 1 plus 1. If you are saying 2, you are doing blunder really, because clearly it's written delta Ng. G stands for gaseous state. Means change of number of mole we only consider for gaseous state, not for solid and liquid state. So how many gaseous moles in the product? Only 1. How many gaseous moles in the reactant? Again only 1. So the value of delta Ng 1 minus 1, that is 0. So when we substitute delta Ng 0 means QP comes equal to QV. So the same value, the value of QP is also, enthalpy change is also minus 20.7 kilojoule. Understood children? Now definition of thermochemical equation. What do we mean by thermochemical equation? Just check. Thermo what? Related to heat. Chemical equation, we already know that the symbolic representation of a true chemical change, right now, that is termed as a chemical equation. So whenever along with the chemical equation, if we represent its enthalpy change during the process, this becomes a thermochemical equation. So thermochemical equation is the symbolic representation of a true chemical change along with its enthalpy change. That is termed as a thermochemical equation. How do we represent it? Just take example. H2 plus O2 gives H2. First we balance this equation, then indicate the physical states also. Now, if I am writing, suppose the delta H enthalpy change for the reaction is minus X kilojoule per mole. No need to learn all the values, you don't have to memorize the values. Simply you should know how we represent this thermochemical equation. So along with a balanced chemical equation, if we are indicating its enthalpy change, then this is termed as thermochemical equation. Next definition, enthalpy of reaction. Now its symbol. The symbol for enthalpy change is delta H, and when we are measuring it for a chemical reaction, we write it enthalpy of reaction. So definition is very simple. Amount of heat change during a chemical process, or we can say amount of heat change when 1 mole of reactants are converted into products. That is termed as enthalpy of reaction. In this case, if we want to measure the enthalpy of reaction, that is equal to sum of enthalpy of products, H, enthalpy is H now, sum of enthalpy of products minus sum of enthalpy of reactants. So enthalpy change or heat change taking place during a chemical reaction is termed as enthalpy of reaction. Just check one thing. Here I use the term enthalpy change or heat change. Heat can be absorbed or it can be evolved. It depends on type of reaction, whether it is an exothermic process or endothermic process. Accordingly, delta H can be negative or delta H can be positive. During exothermic process, delta H is negative. endothermic process, delta H is positive because it is absorbed during endothermic, that's why it is positive, right? So enthalpy change or heat change takes place during a chemical process, that is termed as enthalpy of reaction. Similarly, I can define standard enthalpy of reaction. Standard enthalpy of reaction. Symbol of standard enthalpy of reaction is delta HR naught. So whenever we use this naught term, it indicates the standard conditions. So amount of heat change during a chemical process under standard conditions of temperature and pressure, that is termed as standard enthalpy of reaction. Next definition, enthalpy of phase transformation. Phase transformation means conversion of one state into another state, like solid into liquid, liquid into gas, or directly solid into gaseous state. So many processes are there. So the simple definition is amount of heat change when 1 mole of a substance is converted from one state to another state. That is termed as enthalpy of phase transformation. Now, this can be of different types depending on the phase transformation, that which state is converted into which state. So, first we can take enthalpy of fusion. Enthalpy of fusion means amount of heat change when 1 mole of a solid is converted into liquid at its melting point. Clear, children? Amount of heat change when 1 mole of a solid is converted into liquid at its melting point is termed as enthalpy of fusion. Understood, children? Next we have enthalpy of vaporization. Amount of heat change when 1 mole of liquid is converted into vapors, or we can say gaseous state, at its boiling point is enthalpy of vaporization. Next is enthalpy of sublimation. I think you all know what do we mean by sublimation. Directly solid into gaseous state. So amount of heat change when 1 mole of a solid is converted directly into gaseous state below its melting point. Below its melting point. That is termed as enthalpy of sublimation. So these are the different kinds of enthalpies of phase transformation. Next definition, enthalpy of formation. Amount of heat change when 1 mole of a substance is formed from its constituents, because every substance is formed from its constituent elements only, right now? So the amount of heat change when 1 mole of a substance is formed from its constituents, that is termed as enthalpy of formation. Similarly, we can define standard enthalpy of formation. Standard enthalpy of formation, that is delta HF naught. How do we change this definition now? Amount of heat change when 1 mole of a substance is formed here in its standard state. In its standard state. From its constituents under standard conditions. Clear, children? Shall I repeat this definition? amount of heat change when 1 mole of a substance is formed in its standard state from its constituents under standard conditions is termed as standard enthalpy of formation. Now children, here, what do we mean by standard state? Standard state is the most stable state of any substance at room temperature. Right? Standard state is the most stable state of that substance at room temperature is termed as standard state. Like for H2O, its standard state is liquid. Oxygen, it is gas. For carbon, remember the standard state of carbon is taken as graphite, not diamond, because thermodynamically graphite is more stable. That's why graphite is considered as standard state of carbon. Clear? This is the meaning by standard state of any substance. One more very important thing here need to be learned, that is standard heat of formation of elementary species is always 0. Please note it down. Standard heat of formation of elementary species is always 0. Clear? And if standard heat of formation is given, we can find standard heat of reaction by using this formula. Standard heat of reaction equals to sum of standard heat of formation of products minus sum of standard heat of formation of reactants. Right? What is the formula? Standard heat of reaction is equal to, it is the difference of sum of standard heat of formation of products minus sum of standard heat of formation of reactants. So these are the different types of enthalpies today we covered. So try to learn all these.